Welcome to the Mid-Week Tease with me, Adelle Onyango, where I share some random and not too random thoughts on things. And in this episode, let's talk about this rest thing. So one of my favorite quotes ever is rest is not a luxury, it's fuel. I wish I had met this quote earlier in my life. I'll tell you why. So in September, October 2023, I experienced an extreme case of burnout. I had just come back to Kenya from a work trip to New York. At first, it started with just feeling physically tired. And I was like, okay, maybe it's jet lag, time zone things, And then soon after, my mind was darkness galore, dark thoughts. Another troubling thing was I couldn't sleep. I tried listening to all the noises, white noise, all of them. And I remember going a 3-day stretch of no sleep. But what was also worrying is that I didn't feel drowsy, right? So something was terribly off. I remember a friend of mine seeing me in that state, and she said, "You've got to go and see my doctor." So I went to see her. Her name is Dr. Sally. Dr. Sally has now become my favorite person in the world, but also my GP. And she's been on the podcast a couple of times before and even led some of our wellness talks. But this is my first time meeting Dr. Sally, and she runs an incredible practice with 2 other phenomenal Kenyan women, and they root their practice in wellness. And so when you get there, yes, you do the triage stuff, but you also fill out this form that asks you a couple of questions, including how much sleep are you getting? And I remember when my friend told me to go and see Dr. Sally, she was like, she will give you this form. You will be tempted to lie. Please do not lie. And so this day I get there, her clinic is green and there's like grass, you can even sit outside. And I fill out this form and I just tell it as it is. And I remember going in to meet Dr. Sally, and my consultation lasted a couple of hours because I was crying endlessly. And I was just like, what is wrong with my body? Why am I feeling so demotivated? That was another thing. So I was like physically tired. Mentally, my mind is in the gutter, dark thoughts galore, not sleeping. And then I'm just not motivated. The stuff I love to do, I am not able to get up and do it. So she listens to me, gives me tissue as I'm crying. And we do a bunch of tests because I told her, just take whatever it is you need to take from my body. You need blood, you need urine, whatever you need. Take it. Because if I leave this clinic and I go back to my bed, I am not sure I'm going to leave it. And after the tests, I did the tests and I waited at the clinic, right? I go back in to see Dr. Sally and she says, I think this is a case of low functioning depression. Now I'm very dramatic. I share all of this wellness stuff with you, but in that moment, the first thing I said to Dr. Sally was, so I'm dying. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I was not dying, but I was panicking, right? And then why wasn't I sleeping? I've never had issues with sleep. What is this? So I remember Dr. Sally saying, what we're going to do is we're first going to try and figure out your sleep. Her words were, I think if I can figure out your sleep and get you sleeping again, that will take care of everything else. So that's what we did for about 3.5 weeks. When I came back to see her, I was a different person in just 3 weeks, and I remember her telling me just some of the things I need to stop doing when it comes to an evening routine to ensure that I was going to get a good, healthy dose of sleep. So like limiting my screen time, dimming my lights, having a marker, be it like running myself a bath, etc., that would signal to my brain that, okay, we're winding down. I was also on medication to help me sleep. And I remember being very worried, like when I was coming off the medication, like, will I be able to sleep by myself, or are we going to go back to those 3 days of no sleep? But luckily, that was not the case. I came back to see her after 3.5 weeks, a different person, a completely different person. All of those symptoms were gone. Like, all of them were gone. And my skin was glowing. I had like pep in my step. I was back to me, I was like, I recognize this chick. That other one, who was she? I remember her prescribing things for me to take. So there were supplements I needed to start on. But one of the things that Dr. Sally prescribed was rest. She was like, you have got to rest. I would like to say that after she told me that, I would have listened. I did not. Before I had this burnout episode, I was running around like a mad woman. I was running a workshop, like I'd run a masterclass for a week. I was doing my production work. I was going for meetings. I know we had just signed like a couple of partnerships. We had some advertisers. I was traveling, flying in and out of different time zones for work. And so after she rectified my sleep and I felt like, woo, and she told me to get some rest, I didn't. I went back to my business and I was like, man, chasing payments. You know how the end of the year is. Before those people who owe you money start telling you the accountant has going to leave, or the person who's meant to sign this has going to leave, you're chasing those payments, all of that. I just went right back to it. And I remember December, which like all other Decembers in the past, I would say since most of my partners and my advertisers are on holiday, this is the best time for me to do strategy and admin work, check our websites, all of these things. That's what I got into. Even more than that, I was doing my strategy for the next 3 years. I did our next 3-year strategy in December 2023. I did not rest. Hiya. So I start 2024 a bit tired, but I'm like, I've got the sleep thing on deck, right? I know how to maneuver. Come September 2024, I start to feel mild symptoms again, like just like the symptoms I'd felt in September 2023. So I'm feeling, body is a bit weak. My mind, the thoughts are not, the way they usually are. I immediately caught it, right? Because Dr. Sally, what I love about her is like she arms you with information. So you are really in the driver's seat of your health. She doesn't gatekeep. And so when those mild symptoms came last year, I was like, I see it, I identify it. And then I also know she had told me to rest and I did not. But then I was also like, why is this happening at this specific time of year again? And when I did the math, it was very clear that September, October would mark 11, 12 months since the last time I had a burnout crash out, And so my body was tired. I'd been running my body consistently for a year and I was expecting it not to complain. Isn't that bananas? I remember 2023, when I had the burnout, the first burnout, I had hired a new member to the team and I threw her into the deep end, delegated and told her to go for events. We just signed on a new partnership. She went for all those events. Because September 2023, that burnout, I was literally on bed rest. So come September 2024 and I'm feeling the mild effects again, I'm like, ooh, we need to expand the team. We need help. And so what I did is onboard someone else to help me. And then I started taking it easy. That September, I'm like, start saying no more, delegate. You don't have to do everything, right? And then what I did that was a game changer for me is November, I did my strategy for 2025 and I also chased all my payments. So come December, I rested. I really did rest in December. I didn't fill all my rest time with doing the stuff in the house I haven't gotten round to doing, or the stuff with my vegetable garden. No, like there were days I did nothing. So come January 2025, I was rested. I was ready for the year. Then come February, beginning of February, guess what? I went on holiday again. I rested because I knew first January was very intense work-wise, but February I knew was going to get worse. And then I always anticipate March, Women's Month, to be a bit hectic for me. And so I rested in February. And guess what? I'm planning a full-on rest couple of days come April, like full-on holiday mode. And so I want to leave you with a couple of things that have helped me, because I would not want you to be in that same position I was in 2023 September or 2024 September. Like, no way. So the first thing that has helped is to schedule rest time. So not only the holidays that I've told you about, like, okay, February I went on holiday, April I'm going to also do the same, but even in my work day, if I can schedule my work, right? I look at my to-do list and I'm like, okay, we're gonna, from 10 to 11, we're producing. 11 to 12, we're doing this project. I can also schedule my rest time. I can put in 20 to 30 minutes across my day, like just slide them in for rests. And so that's what I did. And if it's on my schedule for the day, I'm going to do it. It's as important as the emails I've got to send. It's as important as the production work I have to do. It's as important as the Zoom calls I have to jump on, as the status meetings with members of my team. My rest time is as important as that. So I schedule it. The other thing I've done is, I've just learned how to say no. In fact, a couple of days ago, I was almost getting to the point of like over scheduling things in my week, like events. And my manager was like, you don't have to say yes to everything. And even deeper than that, I've started to really understand that me prioritizing my rest, me just not having the capacity in terms of energy to go for an event or to be part of a project is a very valid reason for me to say no. I think many times we think valid reasons are, I'm not going to be around, or I have a conflicting event. Hey, even me not having the energy is very valid. I don't have the capacity. I'm not going to do it. That's also helped me. The third thing, boundaries. Especially for those of us who have home offices and work from home, etc., I have had to have strict boundaries with myself when it comes to when does my workday begin and end. And I've gotten it to the point where my laptop is only allowed in my home office and my home studio. It is not allowed in my bedroom except on Saturday nights when it is movie nights. Like, I schedule my movie nights. Even during the week, I actually start trying to pick, what movie am I going to watch on Saturday movie night? Ooh, are we doing like themed night? Or you know what I mean? And that's also part of rest because it means I'm not working. But back to boundaries, even in my home, there's physical boundaries of where work is allowed to be in. And that forces me to know that when I retreat to my bedroom, when I retreat to the kitchen, to my living room, to my front room, I'm resting. Those are my rest areas, please. The fourth thing is just putting up my middle finger to hustle culture. I don't find it healthy. I think it's completely unhealthy to think that your existence is only as valid as how hard you work. Bananas. Mark me absent. I'm not participating because that's unhealthy. Also, I'm not a robot. What do you mean? And I'm worthy. Even in moments of rest, I am worthy. In moments of stillness, I am worthy. My existence is valid. There is more to life than work. And I am more than my work. I am more than my business. So that reframing has been very instrumental for me. I'll leave you with my favorite quote again. Rest is not a luxury. It is fuel. Thanks for listening to the Mid-Week Tease, a Legally Clueless Africa production. Episodes go out every Wednesday, and you can learn more about us by going to legallycluelessafrica.com.